So today we are going to discuss what is called the distributive property, and this is the third property that we want to learn today. But before that, let's look at the previous properties that we have learned. Hopefully you still understand the first one, remember?
Associative.
Commutative, very good, commutative. Very good. Commutative. Okay. Now, what happens is if you have, for example, two numbers, 2 plus 5,
switching on to 5 plus 2.
5 plus 2. And if you have, for example, 3 times 4,
switch it to 4 times 3.
4 times 3. But be careful when you have now subtraction. Yeah. For example, if you have 6 minus 4, this is not the same as, so this symbol means this is not equal. Yeah. 4 minus 6. See, because 6 minus 4 equals to 2, right? And here 4 minus 6 equal to minus 2. So you cannot swap around when you have negative or subtraction like this. So what happens is actually if you have 6 minus 4, look at this, you have 6 plus negative 4. And then you see again now why we use bracket here, because you have two operation, yeah, simultaneously. That's why we have to separate them using bracket. Now in that case, when you have a plus here, yeah, this is now the same as you have minus 4 and then plus 6. Right?
Okay.
So 6 minus 4 equals to minus 4 plus 6.
Okay.
But when you have multiplication, for example, we have 5 times minus 3. This is fine actually when you do like this, minus 3 times 5, because when you have minus 3 times 5, they also give you negative 15, right? So if you have a negative number here and you want to multiply it with the other numbers, that's all right if you want to swap around. Now be careful when you have division. Yeah, so for example, what is 10 divided by minus 2?
10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5.
Negative 5, very good. So, of course, we remember last time when you have, for example, you have plus times plus, you have plus, minus times minus, you have minus, plus times minus, you have minus, minus times plus, you have minus, right? And that's also true when you have division. For example,
minus times minus is plus.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's correct. You are correct. Now this is also true with the division. If you have plus divided by plus, you have plus. And then when you have minus divided by minus, you have plus. And when you have plus divided by minus, you have minus. Now you have minus divided by plus, you have also minus. So this one, you have plus 10 divided by minus 2. Of course, that will give us minus, right? Minus. So now what is the value? It's just now dividing this number 10 divided by 2. And if you look at this value here, minus 5, this is not the same as, minus 2 divided by 10. So be careful also with the division, because you cannot swap around, yeah, with the division, okay? Yeah. So what happens is when you have division, for example, you have 8 divided by 4. Yeah. So it's not the same as 4 divided by 8. You know that, yeah?
Yeah.
Because what happens is like this: when you have 8 times 4, actually it's like you have 8 divided by 1, and then you multiply by 1 divided by 4.
Okay.
Now, when you have a multiplication like this will give us the same thing as 1 divided by 4 times 8 divided by 1, which give us also 8 times 4. So that's the idea of, commutative. Yeah, commutative. Now, when you remember the second property, it is called associative. So do you still remember how this?
No.
Okay. Actually, what happens is like this. If you have, for example, 2 plus 3 plus 5, yeah. Now, let's say you put a bracket here.
Oh, do 2 plus 3 first.
Yeah. So in this case, you do 2 plus 3 plus, and then you have another addition 5. Yeah. Then that gives you 10. So this is actually the same thing as if you now put the bracket here. See, because when you have 3 plus 5, 8, and then you add 2,
10.
that gives you also 10. So the associative property works when you have the same operation, like addition, subtraction, yeah. You can say work on the first two, and then after that you will add or subtract with the rest, with the other one. Okay. And also, if you have a multiplication, for example, 3 times 4 times 6, yeah. Now, what happens is you can do the first two, in this case 3 times 4,
12,
and then
12
you multiply by 6.
12 times 6 is 72.
Okay, and this is actually the same as if you now multiplied this 4 times 6. So 4 times 6
72.
equal to 24, right?
Yeah,
and then you multiply by 3, and that gives you the same thing, 72. Yeah. So the associative property is true when you have some operation and they are actually the same similar operation. Like for example, you have addition or subtraction, or you have multiplication or division. Yeah. Okay. So now be careful. Last time we just learned, for example, so if you have 2 plus 3 times 5.
2 times 2 times.
Oh, sorry, 2 plus 3 times 5. Yeah.
17.
So how did you get that number?
I did 3 times 5. That's 15. 2 plus 15
okay, very
is
good.
17.
Very good. So in this case, if we don't have any bracket, yeah, what happens is actually
you always do the multiplication.
You do the multiplication first. You do the multiplication first, and then after that, you will do the rest, right? So this will be different now when you have like this.
This is 25.
25. So this is 25. How did you get this number?
2 plus 3 is 5. 5 times 5, 25.
Very good. So you see now we have different answer, yeah? Because the second one tells you when you have a bracket now, you will have to do what's inside the bracket first, okay? So be careful now when we have like a mixture in here, because you have addition, you have multiplication. Normally, the multiplication will be done first if there is no bracket in there, right? Now look at this. Look at this. If you have now
okay. 21.
How did you get the number?
We since there's no like addition one in total, because for this addition we have to get these two first.
Okay.
So I just did 3 times 2, that makes 6. 3 times 5, that makes 15. And 6 times 6 plus 15 is 21.
Okay, very good. So yeah, you know the rule that when we have something like this, basically you do this multiplication, you do this multiplication, and then you add them, yes?
Yeah.
Of course, you know now the difference when you have 3 times 2 plus 3 times 5, but then I put a bracket here.
Okay, that will be 75.
Yes, 75, very good. So again, see, when we have a mixture here, we have addition, we have multiplication. Yeah, if you don't have a bracket, we will do the multiplication first, and then at the end you will add all of them, right? But now when you have bracket, yeah, you have to do what's in the bracket first. Okay, now I want you to look at this example. Actually, this is the example to explain to you what the distributive property is. Okay, now I'll move to the next page. So we have, you know, 3 times 2 plus 3 times 5. Okay, so in the previous calculation, what you did was you multiplied this, got you 6, and then you multiply this, gives you 15, and then you add them. Now I'm trying to do this with slightly different way. So you see what happened is like this.
Does it give the same answer?
Yeah, it will give you the same answer. So in this case, look at this. You can imagine, you can sort of picture that we have, you know, the one that you just thought before. So basically you did this here, 3 times 2 and then 3 times 5, and then you add them. Now, in this bracket, look, you have the same number actually. What is that?
21.
No. If you look at the first bracket and then the second bracket, in there, you have the same number.
Oh.
So in this case, see, you have 3 times 2. And then now you have also another 3 times 5. So you have the same value in here, 3. Okay. Okay. Now when that happens, and then you multiply, see, 3 times here, what happens is you can take that number out. Okay, and then you multiply. So what you multiply now, you will multiply first with 2. Yeah, and plus, now the second one, you have 3 times 5. So I have now another calculation which gives us the same answer. So in this case, if you have 3 times 2 plus 3 times 5, the same number that you multiply here, you can take that out and then multiply by these two values, 2 plus, yeah, because you have plus 5. So now you see, when you have 3 times a bracket, 2 plus 5,
yeah,
close bracket, what's that?
21.
21, because see, this is 7, right? And then we have multiplied with 3. So it is also 21. So This is the example how you do this calculation by using something so-called distributive property. Now, I'll give you one more example, yeah? So let's suppose you have now 2 times 4 plus 2 times, for example, 6, and then plus 2 times, say, 5.
30.
So how did you get that?
All of this, like the not the twos, but like all the other numbers but that, they make 15. And since all the twos are basically the same number, so I just times 15 by 2.
Yeah, that's correct. See, you have 2, right? If you imagine you have 3 terms here, and each of them they have 2 in there. So we can take this number out. Now you have to multiply it with, you put a bracket here. Yeah, first you have to have 4 here, and then now you add. See, because look at this. That's why we have addition here. 6, and then you have another addition, and the next one is 5, and close bracket. So what you have here is 4 plus 6 plus 5, which makes 15. And then at the end you multiply by 2, which gives us 30. Okay, so this is called the distributive law, and actually this is also true for the other way around. For example, when you have 3 times 5 minus 2 plus 1. Yeah?
Yeah.
So what happens is actually when you have something like this, you will now multiply it one by one. So first you multiply 3 by 5. So 3 times 5. And then you have this negative you put in there. Now what's next? You multiply 3 times 2. Yeah, so in this case, you have like that, okay? And now you have a plus here, okay? 3 times 1, right?
Yeah.
So this is called the distributive property. Yeah, if you have a number and then you multiply it by a term that has some addition or subtraction in there, it's like you trying to expand. You're trying to expand here. So this is 15, and then this is minus 6, and then plus 3, and of course the answer will be 12. And that's the same thing if you now trying to okay, so what's this? If you have 5 minus 2 plus 1, 4. So
12.
yeah, you have 3 times 4, which is 12 also, right? So the distributive property is something like this. If you have 2 times 3 plus 2 times 5, you can shorten it by writing 2 times
8.
3 plus 5, and that makes 8 here, and then 2 times 8 gives us 16. Or now when you have, for example, 4 times 5 plus 2, for example, you can expand it. You can expand it. So basically you have 4 times 5 plus 4 times 2. Yeah, because you multiply this is the first one, and then you multiply 4 times 2. Okay, so that is called the distributive property. Now, of course, when you look at these examples here using numbers, you will say, well, that's quite obvious. If you have number, we can just either way, you know, trying to do each term and then you add them after that, yeah. Or you can try to collect like this one, yeah. Either way are fine. So basically, this example are quite obvious because we are using numbers, but later on, you know, when you learn about algebra, yeah, we will deal with some expressions which involve letters, which involve so-called variables, and sometimes they have also something so-called the power exponent, and in that situation you will see this distributive property will be very, very useful. Okay, so you will see that later, yeah. But now, if you look at the idea, this is how we do the distributive property. Okay, so I'll stop here.